I have with me here Garba, Shehu, who is a senior special assistant to the President on media and publicity. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Very quickly, do you have any fresh updates for us? We do know that the girls were taken, to the DSS medical facility to be checked up, and then subsequently they met with the President. Do we have any updates on, what they're currently up to?
The examinations are going on, psychological, physiological, and all of that. There is also a quick attempt to establish contact with the family members so that they can be brought together. Yesterday there was photography of all of the girls, and these pictures were printed and dispatched to Chibok. These young ladies, of course, come from not only the township Chibok itself, but from several settlements scattered all around the place. So the idea is, names have been published, all right, but you don't make the mistake of duplications. When we had the first 21, because of similarity in names, you had more than once, some 2-3 sets of parents coming on the assumption that this girl that is mentioned is mine. So we don't want to create that confusion. So when they get the pictures, they see them and they verify. Then they come on board. They come into Abuja to meet their own daughters. Well,
you talked about communication, which is one area that some parents of the Chibok community says that, they're very happy that their daughters are back, more of their daughters are back, but then they also fault a lapse in terms of communication between the government and the parents of Chibok.
Well, I don't know what that means. If I know their expectations, I would say I can give an answer. What I know is that, it takes, for instance, about 2 days, from Chibok to make it to Abuja by road. So it's there's that challenge itself posed by geography and the spread of the country. What else? They came into town on Sunday, met on the same day by the President. Names were published on that same day, and efforts are ongoing to verify who belongs to which family.
Before now, did the federal government have a list of the families whose girls were missing? Did we have such a diary?
Yeah, but you didn't know who was coming, and the parents themselves, you still have about 113 out there. So who was on, who was in the list, who was out, you needed to know. And until they came, you didn't know who had been released or who hadn't been.
Now, the reason I ask this is because if we have a list of the families and we know which daughter is missing from which family, it should be a lot easier to communicate with the families of these girls as soon as we're able to get the girls, don't you think?
As I said, when we had just 21, similarities in name also created those difficulties.
Okay.
And then you had, people coming on the assumption that, yes, my daughter is there, and they came over here to just be disappointed. So we want that to be avoided.
How soon do you think the families then are going to reunite with their parents?
I believe that today this exercise in Chibok will be going on. They will be seeing. Some have no doubt about their own words being there. The television has helped. The social media and all of that, they have seen, they have confirmed on their own without waiting for a word. They are already on their way out. The government would not stop any parent from immediately establishing contact with their own daughters. Certainly, it will be facilitated.
Well, I'm sure that you have seen the plethora of reactions that have trailed the release of those girls. Depends on who you ask, you will get a different reaction. So, for instance, amongst the Chibok community, a lot of the parents are very happy. In fact, the entire community seems to be very grateful, and they're hoping that more of their daughters will come back. Even those who say, well, our children are not yet amongst them, we're still happy for those who have been able to, whose children have come back already. But if you look in other quarters, there's still those who do not believe that there was any abduction in the first place. There are those who believe that this is a distraction. There are those who believe that, more ought to be done to show that this was not some contraption of government in the very first instance. What do you say to those people?
I read the tragedy coming from some thuggish communities in the country. Of course...
Thuggish?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are politicians who are thugs. And they just can't stop being thugs all their life. Otherwise, in any case, it's been the position, the standard established position under the previous administration by the government that we succeeded for some time, that no girls were missing. So until they were persuaded after 3 weeks or so that yes, they had been stolen. So belonging and coming from that old order, there are some diehards who are staunchly, pro, that position, and they must defend it at all cost. So nothing is surprising from some of these reactions. It's expected. Let them continue in their own. But as the Minister of Information has said, it's very insensitive and insulting, and especially for the parents. Sometimes it is good for people to picture themselves as being in the position of those parents. If my daughter was among them, would I be doing things differently? And I'm sure for many of these that you talked about, they would have been acting differently if they had their daughters among them.
Well, it's a little, I don't even know which question to ask you next now, because there are those who believe that this was some grand conspiracy on the part of politicians that the parents were not involved in.
Well, it's far more serious than that. And as I said, people must show sensitivity, a lot of it towards especially the parents who painfully bore, this pain, continue to bear it because it is not all over. But Boko Haram is real. And don't forget that as a matter of fact, because we're a deeply divided country, from the beginning, the thing was given religious coloration, and until Boko Haram also showed perhaps a more efficient capacity to kill Muslims, bomb mosques, and so on. There were some who believed, including at the highest level of the previous administration, that this was a conspiracy against Christianity, this was a conspiracy against a section of the country. So therefore, views would always differ. Some reasonable, some unreasonable. But the most important thing is that the entire world is persuaded. Look, the release of these girls, even the United Nations is talking about it. All the leaders are commending our own government and our president, and there is deep appreciation, dancing on the streets of Chibok, and everybody is happy. So whoever wants to stick to those all the stereotypes, they are free to do so.
You're looking at this headline, for instance, and you see powerful forces scuttle Jonathan's swap bid. We did know that the former government did set up quite a number of arrangements to try and negotiate for the release of those girls, but somehow it simply did not work.
No, for the previous government, Boko Haram was a cash cow. They opened the vault for them. Investigations, I know, at some point have revealed that US dollar had been taken from a government office, NSS office, in the name of buying freedom for the girls from Boko Haram. And with all of the facts that are now coming out, people just sat down around the table and shared money. So therefore, was there a sincere intention to rescue them? I would say it was absent. This is a thing coming from PDP themselves, saying powerful forces had stopped it's an excellent revelation. It should please our investigators. So who are these powerful forces? They were forces within their own fold. They should help us to fish them out, because they just saw it as a means to make money. And they stole all of the money that they could, using Boko Haram and the Chibok girls as a pretext.